All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the Top Producer Show. I'm just waiting for this other camera to, ouch, who's clawing me? Somebody's like, I want to jump on too. Pause due to poor connection. Well, it's gonna come on later, but anywho, welcome everybody to the Top Producer Show. My name is Brandy and this is Jeff, and here we're going to talk about what exactly does it take to become a top producer. Now, we're mainly directing this towards network marketing. However, all the methods that we use can also be used in traditional business as well. Jeff and I own 2 other businesses outside of doing network marketing, and all of it can be implemented in each one of them. So we are going over the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. And we're on chapter 5 today. So the best way to start a new habit. So he has a couple of researches that he did in this chapter, or not that he did, but he looked into. So in 2001, researchers in Great Britain began working with 248 people to build a better exercise habits over the course of 2 weeks. So the subjects were divided into 3 groups. The first group was the control group, where they simply asked them to track how much they exercised. The second group was the motivation group. So not only did they tell them to track, they also gave them materials that told them the benefits, showed them the research, how does this benefit your heart and your overall health. And then the third group, these subjects received the same presentation as the second group, which ensured that they had equal levels of motivation. However, they were also asked to formulate a plan for when they were formulate a plan for when and where they would exercise over the following week. So specifically, each member of the third group completed the following sentence: during the next week, I will partake in at least 20 minutes of vigorous exercise on this day, at this time, at this place. So with the first 2 groups, 35 to 38% of these people exercised at least once a week. The motivational presentation given to the second group seemed to not really have that much of an impact. They were just like, okay, so motivation was not the thing that got people moving. But on the third group, 91% of this group exercised at least once per week, more than double of that normal rate. So they were showing, unless you actually have the specific plan, motivation can only get you so far. So having that specific plan of when are you going to do this at, or where are you going to do it, at what time, and having those specifics is what's going to help you actually create these habits. And then he went into, sorry, this jumped down way further than what, I'm reading my notes here. I have them right in front of me, and I'm going to shut off this Instagram one because it's not working and the flashing is driving me nuts. So to formulate and create, the sentence they filled out is what researchers refer to as the implementation intention. So, which is the plan to make beforehand about when, where to act, and that is how the intention of implementation of a habit. Hi, David, how are you? So, the format of creating an implementation intention is when situation X arises, I will perform response Y, whatever that is, depending on what your goal is. So people make a specific plan for when and where they will perform a new habit. New habits are more likely to follow through. So too many people tried to change their habits without any basic details to figure it out. So when people say, I'm going to read more, or I'm going to text my leads, but they never say when and where they're going to be doing it, because this is common. We hear it all the time. We talk about leads with people and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to start texting my leads. And it's like, great, when? Well, I don't know. I'm just going to try to fit it in my day. And I'm like, okay, but if you don't have a specific plan of when you're going to do it, you're never going to do it. Because if you wait for the motivation to arise, you're never going to get it done. Because the reason we set habits in business is so you don't wait for when you're actually going to want to do it. Because 90% of stuff that you do in business is stuff that you don't want to do. And so setting those habits, you don't wait for the feeling to get there, and it sets you on a schedule. That way they get done every single time. And then what Jeff has talked about in previous episodes, having your leads set up the day before, so that way you're not having to pull and having to organize and figure out who you're going to talk to. Plan your day before the day begins, so that way once you are at that time, you're ready to go. Well, thank you, David. So, anywho, I went over that. So a simple way to apply this strategy to your habits is to fill in the sentence. I will fill in the behavior at this time in this location. So obviously you're never going to just work out without conscious thought, but like a dog salivating at a bell, maybe you start to get antsy around the time of day you normally work out, and that was by Jason Zig, I think it is. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, but that's okay. And then he talks about habit stacking. So a simple plan to overhaul your habits. So habit stacking is simply any habit that you have throughout the day, you put another habit with it. So like, as an example, I have my coffee every morning without fail. So if I wanted to read more, I would actually plan, like, when I have my coffee in the morning, I am going to read, because, you know, whenever you're reading, you want to get that done at the beginning of the day, not do it in the middle of the day, because that's production time. So you want to get that done at the beginning of the day. So I'm like, that's where I'm going to do it. Like for us, our reading gets done right after this show. So right after we're done with the show, we jump right into reading the next chapter or reading another book. It's usually the next chapter, and then anything else is extra. So that is pretty much what I got out of this. We've actually started practicing some of this, of the habit stacking, and it's just you have to write out what does your day look like and what are the things that you want to start adding as a habit, and do they relate to your goal? Because some stuff, it could be just things where people are like, oh, well, I would like to try to get healthier. So at lunch, I always eat lunch at this time. Instead of eating McDonald's, I'm going to go to Charleston's and I'm going to get a salad. So it really depends on what is your goal, but you need to make sure that any goals that you implement, are they helping you move forward, or are they a neutral goal? So with that, that's what I got out of this chapter. Jeff, I'm turning it over to you.
I don't have a lot more to say. You pretty much read them, the whole chapter.
Well, it was a short chapter too. So is there anything that you would like to add as far as?
The one thing I got, it says people who make a specific plan for when and where they perform a new habit are much more likely to follow through. So that I totally agree with. But a lot of times people will make a plan and it's not sustainable. They're like, I'm going to do this every night as soon as I get home, blah, 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 blah. I was like, well, you have a family, so that's going to backfire, because there's going to be dinner, there's going to be this, there's going to be that, there's going to be, you know, games and shows and kid stuff. It's not possible that you're going to do it like that. But is it possible that you're going to get in 75 contacts a day? Well, yeah. You can get in 75 contacts a day. You might have to target California and Arizona with your business. You might have to do it at certain hours. So I think it's not only setting a time and a location for when you're going to do it, but we talked about this yesterday and the day before with leads. Like, most network marketers waste 95% of their time searching for who they're going to talk to, and they typically only talk to people 5% of the time that they're doing anything, which is incredibly ineffective. It's impossible to build momentum like that. I understand the overall methodology behind it, you know, get everybody to go out and talk to just 1 or 2 people a day. Just 1 or 2 people a day. Yeah, 1 or 2 people a day, talking to 1 or 2 people a day will keep you in the business, but you won't build anything significant. Now, what they're really hoping for, if you come to the really big mastermind meetings with companies, is they're just hoping people stay in long enough to transfer that belief in that business to the next person. And then they're hoping that person will hand out or talk to 2 people a day to get it to the next person. Eventually, you'll find somebody who actually wants to build. But some people are naive enough to think that's the method of building, and that's it. You're not going to build anything significant. You know, could you imagine being in car sales and be like, oh, I only talk to 2 people a day. That's all I need to do. Or being in real estate, I only need to talk to 2 people a day. Or insurance, I only need to try to talk to 2 people a day. Well, yeah, if it's a full presentation every day, yes. And the original talk to 2 people a day was 2 full presentations. That was the original implementation. That was the original plan. And then some people came in trying to sell some stuff, namely CDs, DVDs, magazines, website subscriptions. They were selling stuff, and they're like, all you have to do is get this tool or this website in front of 2 people a day, and you'll be just as broke as everybody else in the room. That's not what they say, but that's what happens, because you're not actually getting people. There's 2 things. You're not educating the field. And if you don't educate the field, what happens is somebody who is good at educating the field will come in and take your field. They'll come in and take all the soldiers out of the field. Why? Because people are instinctively searching for the person who knows how to do it. And once they find somebody who knows how to do it, they're willing to listen to them, especially if they're having success. So that's kind of the main thing that I got out of this chapter. He says most people try to form habits, but without these basics figured out, you're really not going to get anywhere. What are the basics? The basics are, when am I going to do it? And then the location of where I'm going to do it. But I think even more important is when he talks about habit stacking, what is the best order to do things in? That's prioritizing. Most people say, but I just don't have the time. I just don't have the time. So what you're telling me is you have less time than everybody else on the planet, because everybody has the exact same amount of time. It's not a time issue. It's a priority issue. You know, most people are really shitty at forming priorities. They can't think, hey, this is the most important thing to do if I want to get free. This is the second most important thing I want to do if I'm going to get free. And all this other garbage that we put in there, I love what he said in an early chapter of the book. He said all habits, even destructive habits, serve a purpose. Here's what the purpose is. The purpose of most destructive habits is distraction. And it's enjoyment, because you feel good when you go watch a movie. You feel good when you surf the internet. You feel good when you read a million quotes. You feel good because you're like, yes, I'm growing, I'm doing something, but you're not doing shit in your business. So what I had to do, because I did all of those things, what I had to do is I finally got down to, I'm only going to track, because there's, you know, people get into tracking like, I'm going to track these 16 different key points. No, you're not. No, you're not. Nobody does that. What if you just track the one thing that would make you all the money? I can literally know exactly what somebody's going to do in business and where they're going to end up by tracking one thing. How many presentations, new presentations, are you going to do this month? And if you show me your last 90 days, I'll tell you exactly why you're at where you're at, why you feel what you feel, why you think what you think, because it's going to be based on how many presentations, not contacts, not websites sent out, not Facebook messages, not ad tag message. How many full presentations? How many people have you told what's going on? And if you do tell what's going on, is that message clear? That's a whole nother story. That's practicing the art of what you do. So that's what I got out of it. Again, cool book. Some discrepancies. Start a behavior on the first day. I thought this was interesting. Always teach people to start a behavior on the first day of the week, month, or year. The reason being is people are more likely to take action at those times because the hope is higher. The hope is higher. Well, if I start at the beginning of the week and I make it to the end of the week, then I'm a success. If I start at the beginning of the month and I make it to the end of the month, I'm a success. If I start at the beginning of the year and I make it the whole year, then I'm a success. That's how people view it. I think that was interesting. The very last thing, one of the most important things I probably got out of this is saying no to anything that isn't on the path. Saying no to it. I'm not going to go look at it. I'm not going to go humor it. I'm not going to look at another shiny, this or shiny that. Oh my God. And, the problem is with TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and, emails and just YouTube and the constant bombardment. If you go look up, if you're on one path to make money and you go look up anything, there's 50 other people who are advertising in that space. So one of the most important things is how do you protect that space so that way you can stay on track? Well, if you don't have things written down, if you don't have things written down and you're not reading them daily, just like Think and Grow Rich talks about, if you're not reading them in the morning and reading them at night, hey, here's what I'm doing, here's where I'm going, here's what I'm trying to produce, it's going to be very, very difficult to stay on track. Why? Because there's so many other shiny objects. Unless you have a mentor or coach that's literally sitting you down every day saying, this is what to do, this is what to do, this is what to do. And I've found this to be true. Like the guys who have taken off I'm just thinking of like the people who have made it to the top of different companies that I've been in, whether that's a level or whether that's an amount of money. They were the people who reached out daily. They were the people who were like, hey, here's what I'm doing. It was kind of just more a conversation of just kind of reporting in. I don't really, sometimes they really didn't have much to say that was like, they're like, hey, here's what I did. Here's what somebody said. Here's what I did. Here's what somebody said. And what happened is you start tweaking that path until they just got it down. And then eventually those phone calls disappear. Why? Because that person finally gets what's going on. They can do it on their own. But you have to stay plugged into some source, because if not, the shiny ball syndrome, the next marketing plan, the newest crypto. I mean, Jesus, there are so many different distractions where you can run off 30 different things. But I love what one of the mentor coach said yesterday, is you have to form your personal vision before your business vision. Mm-hmm. If you form your personal vision before your business version, most people form their business version and then try to backdoor that into their personal vision. And what they end up doing is they spend all their time building their business, and that's now their vision. The vision is their business. So, get him. Oh, now you're scared. Time and location must be simple and easy. Habit stacking, yep. The Dirot effect. This was kind of funny. The Dirot effect, the desire to keep buying new shit, was basically what it was. When you buy one new thing, it feels good. So you're like, oh, I need to do that again. And then you want to do it again. And then you want to do it again. So that's actually a real psychological, tick. Mm-hmm. BJ Fogg, his Tiny Habits program was like, after I do this, I will then do that. Surround yourself by new habits already. The key is stacking. Create the best schedule by creating the best order to stack your habits. I have a hard time reading right away, so I typically do the show and then I'll listen to something or watch something, because it's much easier for me to take in the information. I don't know what it is. I mean, part of it's we stay up late, work out hard. The vitamins, it takes a minute for them to get in, and then all of a sudden it's like my eyes open and I'm like, okay, now I can read, and it's a little bit easier. Different things for different people. Just what is your order? Get it all done. The other thing is ask people who are truly successful, like, hey, what order do you do these things? Do you read it in the morning? Do you read it at night? Do you listen to this in the morning? Do you listen to this at night? How did you pack your schedule in to make it work? Because there's a lot of people who built businesses who had full-time jobs, full-time families, were involved in all kinds of other activities, and still built their business and were successful. How is it that that person's successful and somebody who doesn't have all that has a hard time? Mm-hmm. It's not a time thing. It's a priority and schedule thing. So that's what I got. Wrap it up.
Right. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that habit thing where with the guy about the buying things. The guy, actually in the chapter, he talked about, he's just like, this is why, like, when people get a new couch in a living room, they then go and change all the decor in their living room. He's like, it's like a domino effect of stuff. So he's like, it was just really funny. And I was like, oh, I did that recently. So I was like, oh no, I've been caught. So with that, oh, also, we forgot to talk about the free leads.
That's why I said, would you please wrap it up?
Yep. So wrap it up like you're going to talk about that.
Yeah, like, that's why I said wrap it up. Can you wrap it up? Like, talk about that.
Oh, okay. You wanted me to talk about it. Okay. So guys, we are giving away 100 free leads to...
It's 1,000.
1,000 for free leads to anybody who needs some people to talk to. Now, this is for people who are not already in our program. So if you would like those, you need to go to joinmyleadershipnetwork.com, click join, and then fill out your information, and then we will send those to you via email or Facebook. Email is usually easier just because it's easier. And that way you can find them if you need them, because I don't know about you, but we send messages back and forth all the time. That is absolute insanity, and it's easier to keep track of. So if you would like those, you want to go there, join, and we're also going to be uploading this to YouTube. So if you guys would like to go back, rewatch this, take some notes, you are welcome to. We will have it downloaded there, and we are also on TikTok and Instagram. So with that, that is what we have for you today, and we will see you... Is today Friday? It is Friday. We will see you guys on Monday.
Chapter
So
6.
we will see you then.